Imagine discovering the secret formula to make every decision in your life perfectly satisfying. That's exactly what we're going to explore today. With utility maximization in microeconomics, get ready to unlock the power of smart choices and understand the hidden forces behind every purchase you make. This isn't just about economics, it's about mastering your own happiness. Introduction. Hello everyone. Are you ready to dive into a topic that will change the way you think about every decision, from buying a coffee to choosing a career? Today, we're going to talk about something incredibly powerful and practical: utility maximization in microeconomics. It sounds complex, but I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see why it's a game changer for understanding human behavior and making better choices. This concept isn't just for economists, it's for anyone who wants to make the most out of their resources and achieve the highest level of satisfaction. So, let's start this exciting journey together. Body. First, let's understand what utility means. In simple terms, utility is the satisfaction or happiness that a consumer gets from consuming a good or service. Think of it this way: when you eat a delicious pizza, the enjoyment you get from that pizza is its utility. When you listen to your favorite song, the pleasure you feel is also utility. It's a subjective measure, meaning it's different for everyone. What gives one person a lot of utility might give another person very little. Next, we need to consider why people want to maximize this utility. As rational individuals, we always want to get the most satisfaction possible from our limited resources. We don't have endless money or time, so we need to make smart choices about how to spend what we have. This natural desire to get the most bang for our buck, or the most happiness from our efforts, is the core idea behind utility maximization. Now let's talk about how consumers try to maximize utility. It's not just about buying things. It's about making choices that give us the greatest overall satisfaction. Given our budget constraints, imagine you have a certain amount of money to spend on lunch. You could buy a cheap sandwich or a more expensive meal. Utility maximization suggests you'll choose the option that gives you the most happiness relative to its cost. To really understand utility maximization, we introduce a key concept called marginal utility. Marginal utility is the additional satisfaction you get from consuming one more unit of a good or service. For example, the first slice of pizza might give you a lot of satisfaction. The second slice might still be good, but maybe a little less satisfying than the first. The third slice might give even less additional satisfaction. This idea is known as the law of diminishing marginal utility. It states that as you consume more of a good, the additional satisfaction you get from each extra unit tends to decrease. So, how does a consumer make decisions based on this? A rational consumer will continue to consume a good as long as the marginal utility from that good is greater than or equal to its price. They will stop consuming when the marginal utility falls below the price, because at that point, they are paying more for the additional satisfaction than it's worth to them. This is a fundamental rule in consumer choice. However, consumers don't just consume one good, they consume many different goods and services. This is where the concept of the equimarginal principle comes in. This principle states that a consumer maximizes their total utility when the marginal utility per dollar spent on each good is equal. In other words, you want to get the same amount of satisfaction for every dollar you spend, no matter what you're buying. If a dollar spent on apples gives you more satisfaction than a dollar spent on bananas, you would shift your spending towards apples until the satisfaction per dollar becomes equal for both. Let's put this into a practical example. Imagine you have $10 to spend on snacks. You're trying to decide between buying chocolate bars and bags of chips. Each chocolate bar costs $2 and each bag of chips costs $2. You also know the utility you get from each additional bar or bag. You would calculate the marginal utility per dollar for each item. If the first chocolate bar gives you 20 units of utility, 20 utility, $2, 10 utility per dollar. And the first bag of chips gives you 16 units of utility, 16 utility, 8 utility per dollar, you would buy the chocolate bar first. You would continue this process, always choosing the item that gives you the highest marginal utility per dollar until your $10 is spent, or until the marginal utility per dollar is equal for all items you consume. This process ensures that you are getting the most total satisfaction from your limited budget. It's a continuous balancing act, adjusting your consumption based on the prices of goods and the satisfaction you expect to get from them. This also explains why, when the price of a good changes, your consumption pattern might change as well. If chocolate bars suddenly become cheaper, their marginal utility per dollar might increase, making you want to buy more of them. Furthermore, utility maximization is not just about physical goods. It also applies to services, leisure time, and even intangible things like education or health. We constantly make trade-offs, consciously or subconsciously, to maximize our overall well-being given our constraints. For instance, you might choose to work an extra hour, giving up leisure utility to earn more money, gaining consumption utility. Conclusion. So what have we learned today? Utility maximization is the core idea that rational consumers aim to get the most satisfaction or utility from their limited resources. We learned about utility as satisfaction, marginal utility, as the additional satisfaction from one more unit, and the law of diminishing marginal utility, which explains why that additional satisfaction tends to decrease. Most importantly, we explored the equimarginal principle, which tells us that consumers achieve maximum total utility when the marginal utility per dollar spent on every good is equal. This concept helps us understand why we make the choices we do, how we respond to price changes, and how we allocate our scarce resources to achieve the greatest possible satisfaction. By understanding utility maximization, you now have a powerful lens through which to view your own decisions and the economic world around you. Keep making those smart choices and keep maximizing your utility. Important English vocabulary and Korean explanations. 유틸리티 효용 소비자가 재화나 서비스를 소비함으로써 얻는 만족감이나 행복감. maximization 극대화, 어떤 것을 최대한으로 만들거나 가장 높은 수준으로 올리는 것. 마이크로에코노믹스, 미시경제학 개별 경제 주체, 시장 산업의 행동을 연구하는 경제학 분야. decision 결정, 어떤 것을 선택하거나 정하는 행위. satisfying, 만족스러운 기대나 요구를 충족시켜 즐거움이나 행복을 주는. explore, 탐구하다, 어떤 주제나 개념을 자세히 조사하거나 분석하다. unlock, 잠금, 해제하다, 어떤 것을 열거나 사용 가능하게 만들다. smart choices, 현명한 선택, 합리적이고 이로운 결정을 내리는 것. hidden forces, 숨겨진 힘, 겉으로 드러나지 않지만 영향을 미치는 요소들. happiness, 행복, 만족하거나 기쁜 상태. practical, 실용적인, 실제로 유용하거나 쓸모있는. complex, 복잡한, 많은 부분이 얽혀 있어 이해하거나 다루기 어려운. 게임 체인저, 판도를 바꾸는 것, 상황이나 결과를 크게 변화시키는 것. understanding, 이해, 어떤 것을 파악하거나 의미를 아는 것. human behavior, 인간 행동, 사람들이 행하는 방식이나 반응. resource, 자원, 목표 달성에 사용될 수 있는 모든 것. 돈, 시간 등. achievement, 달성 목표나 목적을 이루는 것. satisfaction, 만족, 원하는 것이 충족되었을 때의 느낌. consumers, 소비자, 재화나 서비스를 구매하고 사용하는 개인이나 주체. goods, 재화, 물리적인 형태를 가진 생산품. services, 서비스, 생산되지만 물리적 형태가 없는 경제 활동. consuming, 소비하다, 재화나 서비스를 사용하거나 먹는 것. subjective, 주관적인, 개인의 생각이나 느낌에 따라 달라지는. rational individuals, 합리적인, 개인 자신의 이익을 최대화하기 위해 논리적으로 행동하는 사람. limited, 제한된 일정 범위나 양을 넘어가지 않는. budget constraints, 예산 제약, 사용할 수 있는 돈의 한계. overall, 전반적인 모든 것을 포함한 총체적인. key concept, 핵심 개념, 어떤 주제를 이해하는 데 가장 중요한 아이디어. marginal utility, 한계, 효용, 재화나 서비스를 한 단위 더 소비할 때 얻는 추가적인 만족감. additional, 추가적인, 원래 있던 것에 더해지는. 유닛 단위 측정의 기본량. law of diminishing marginal utility, 한계, 효용, 체감의 법칙. 재화나 서비스를 더 많이 소비할수록 추가적인 만족감이 점차 줄어드는 현상. decrease, 감소하다, 양이나 정도가 줄어들다. price, 가격, 재화나 서비스를 구매하기 위해 지불하는 금액. fundamental rule, 근본적인 규칙, 가장 기본적이고 중요한 원칙. consumer choice, 소비자 선택. 소비자가 자신의 욕구를 충족시키기 위해 재화나 서비스를 선택하는 과정. equimarginal principle, 한계, 효용, 균 등의 법칙. 각 재화에 대해 지출한 마지막 1단위 비용이 가져다주는 한계, 효용이 같을 때 총 효용이 극대화된다는 원칙. per dollar 1달러당 1달러를 기준으로 계산되는 비율, total utility 총 효용 특정 기간 동안 재화나 서비스를 소비함으로써 얻는 전체 만족감, allocate 할당하다 특정 목적을 위해 자원 등을 배분하다, scarcity 희소성 자원이 한정되어 있어 모든 욕구를 충족시킬 수 없는 상태, trade-offs 상충 관계 하나를 얻기 위해 다른 하나를 포기해야 하는 상황, leisure time 여가 시간 일이나 의무에서 벗어나 자유롭게 보낼 수 있는 시간, intangible 무형에 만지거나 볼 수 없는 형태의 education 교육 지식이나 기술을 배우고 가르치는 과정, health 건강 몸과 마음이 좋고 아프지 않은 상태, consciously 의식적으로 알면서 인지하면서 subconsciously 무의식적으로 자신도 모르게 의식하지 못하는 상태에서 well-being 행복, 안녕 건강하고 행복한 상태, 렌즈 어떤 것을 보거나 이해하는 관점,